Hello, so my name is Liam, and this is my final presentation video on the book I read, which is called Halfway to Heaven, My White-Knuckled and Knuckle-Headed Quest for the Rocky Mountain High, by Mark Obmasik. Yeah. So basically the story is about this guy who wants to hike all of the Fort Nears in Colorado. Behind me, as you can see, is one of the peaks, which I know many might think I'm actually here, but it's just a picture. This peak is actually at the top of Mount Beardstadt. It's one of the Fort Nears, and you can see from the background that it's actually very impressive, very amazing to be on top. But I've never been, so I can't for sure say that. But I hear it's pretty amazing. So this story is this man who used to be a big hiker. He used to do a lot of these dangerous hiking trails, but when he started having kids and he got married and all this, he started to stop that. He didn't do as much of it as he used to because he didn't have as much time. So he started gaining a little weight, so slowly he started to do less and less. And the story starts out with his son wanting to do one of these trails with his friends, and when his son broke his leg, he fell down and he got really hurt, but he still loved it and he still wanted to do it with his dad. So when they did one of the trails. They didn't do all the way because Mark wasn't in as good a shape, so he wasn't able to finish, and his son was also getting tired because he was only about 12. But it really reminded Mark of what he loved and what he's been missing all these years. It really kind of showed him this. So it's kind of like Cheryl's story, where she kind of lost her way, forgot who she was, and wants to find herself by hiking the PCD. Kind of the same. Mark kind of lost his love. He loved doing this, and he kind of lost that love. So now he's trying to get that back. So basically, the story is his journey of how he gets back into shape, how he starts hiking all these trails. But it's also stories on the different peaks and different mountains. One in particular really stood out to me was Mount of the Holy Cross. This one was, the story behind it is pretty incredible. It's about at the peak of this mountain, into the rock, it's the shape of a cross, and how this used to be a huge tourist attraction for many, a huge pilgrimage for so many people for many years, and still until it started to kind of be forgotten. Not as much forgotten, but kind of fade out from history. So all these stories about these mountains were really incredible. And there's also stories about other hikers who would hike these trails and had gotten into accidents. And one in particular also was of two hikers, one known as the Talus Monkey and the other USA Keller. These are just their code names or so. And it's really, the story is about the Talus Monkey fooling around, and he ended up falling a huge distance, and he had to spend the night on the mountain because no one could come up to him because there was a storm. So by the time they reached him, he was still alive, but he was in such a bad shape that he ended up dying later on. And it kind of shows me, as much fun and amazing that these adventures can be, it's also pretty dangerous, and you have to be pretty careful with how you undergo these adventures. So these compare to the adventures we've had as a class, because in this class I saw a huge topic that kept coming up over and over was safety. And safety was also a huge topic in this book, because it mentions that Mark isn't able to do these hikes because his wife doesn't want him to do them alone. So he has to be safe, he has to be careful, he has to get into shape, he has to find a hiking partner. So safety was a huge topic throughout, and it really compared with what we did in class, because we were also told that the most important thing when doing adventures is to be safe and to be careful, because that could be the line between adventure and misadventure. So my personal plans for adventures in the future are, the big thing is to continue hiking, because that's the main thing that I really found that I loved. I've already been on like 3 or 4 hiking trips outside of class, and I've really found that I really love doing it. It's so much fun, and it really opens my eyes to the world that we live in. So I think that's the adventure I want to take out. That's the point I want to take out from these books, as well as from the adventures we've had in class.